Hi everybody, and welcome to my book review of Conscious Loving, The Journey to Co-Commitment. And I have to be honest, this is a meaty book, and it wasn't necessarily a comfortable read for me because there was a lot of self-realization. And if I'm honest, I wasn't sure, of the title, Conscious Loving. It wouldn't be one that I would necessarily pick up in a bookshop, but I'm really grateful that I've had the opportunity to read it, and I can see why it would be such an important one to read for this course, particularly when we were doing the inner journey first. So this book is all about, introduced to me the concept of conscious relationships. And it's a two-part book, with part one just taking us on the journey from unconscious to conscious loving. And it takes us through the 7 traps of unconscious loving, through the 7 steps to co-commitment. It also emphasises personal inquiry and introduces a new method to conflict resolution that can help us to be better connected to ourselves, I guess, first of all, and then to our significant others. And part 2 then is a how-to guide, a practical how-to activities that we can put this into practice ourselves. And that's something I've been moving through slowly with my own partner. But I did like the fact that they highlight that this is a journey, and that it's a lifetime of work. So I suppose that's important to recognise as well. So there were so many aha moments in this, like so many key takeaways for me. But I suppose I'm going to stick with the most basic. First of all, I really had no idea what was the difference between unconscious and conscious loving. And I now understand that unconscious loving is driven by old patterns and programs, and conscious loving is where we're more intentional and aware, and we're moving toward our own growth and growth with our partner. And secondly, what was the difference between codependency and co-commitment? So codependency is an agreement, probably an unconscious agreement, to stay locked in unconscious patterns. And it's where we rely on others for validation and our happiness. And co-commitment then is an agreement to becoming more conscious. And that's where we focus on mutual support and growth, and I suppose most importantly, personal responsibility. And this is emphasised over and over again throughout the book. So I loved as well how the authors highlight the influence of our past. That was really key for me. And that our codependent patterns are usually stemming from childhood and our relationship with our parents. And so our past experiences are shaping our beliefs and often our behaviours in our current relationships. And I suppose understanding and healing these past wounds, they highlight as being crucial for conscious loving. And for me, I suppose that's been my journey with breathwork as well, that we're healing our past wounds so we can be more present in the present. I loved the reference to our feelings, needs and patterns. This is constantly spoke about right throughout the book. And that I underlined one of the parts where it said that to understand that we create all of our relationships out of unconscious feelings, needs and patterns. And this is another key takeaway for me, how we're 100% responsible for our reality. And so, the fact that we create our relationships out of unconscious feelings, needs and patterns was a huge aha moment. So just to thrash that out a bit, our feelings, our needs and our patterns drive our behaviour and shape our relationships. And exploring the patterns leads us to greater self-awareness, and with that self-awareness we become more conscious in our loving. I also have a little blue note here to talk about the creating union between our conscious and our unconscious mind. And it was, I suppose, how do we create union? And the authors suggest that we create union between the conscious and the unconscious by inquiring into these feelings, needs and patterns. And I love the quote from the book. I'm going to read it out. That I suppose just explaining that our unconscious mind is very powerful, but it's not smart. And then that our conscious mind, by contrast, is very smart, but it has little energy, and it needs the power of the subconscious to support it. So ideally, we need the power and the intelligence to be working together. And again, it just reinforces this can only happen through inquiry into our feelings, needs, and patterns. And it gave the example or the analogy of how, like, when you're young, you might create or realize that, like, when you get sick, you might get more attention. And so in adult life, you might create scenarios where you get sick, and that's your way of unconsciously expressing your needs when you're not able to express them in real life. And I suppose that was a massive aha for me, because this year I experienced burnout, and I realised that my job was fulfilling, and my relationships maybe with some of my workmates, not alone my partner, I wasn't expressing my needs. I wasn't even aware of my needs. And I suppose in order to get the support that I needed, I may have manifested this burnout, and that was a little bit uncomfortable to take. But I can own that. So moving on to the challenges, I guess reading the book was a challenge in itself, because that awareness that I'm 100% responsible, first of all, for creating my reality, that maybe the burnout had a lot to do with unconscious feelings and needs and patterns that I had. And also realizing that I could tick a lot of the boxes of being codependent, and basically that I could have an addiction there to control and approval. And again, I can reflect, that was reflected back to me in my job as principal in a school, where I am in complete control of situations and needing a lot of, or a role where you get a lot of external validation. And so that was challenging to take. I suppose they talk about learning to speak the microscopic truth, and while that wasn't challenging to read, it was challenging to put into practice. And I found that it was something I could use with my children, and I can use it quicker with my children than I can with my partner. But again, it's actually something that I have to sit down and practice. So what would I take out of the book to bring to my breathwork sessions? So much, I suppose. The self-responsibility. The book is constantly encouraging us all taking responsibility for these feelings and our reactions and our experiences. And similarly in breathwork, you're encouraging your breathwork is so empowering, and it's a tool that we can give to our clients to help them to realize that they can take responsibility for how they're showing up in the world and be part of their deeper healing and transformation. Another important thing that runs through the essence of the book is the unconditional love and acceptance of the self and of others. And I suppose when we realise that, we are the creators of our reality, we can realise that maybe our expectations are, we want other people to change, but actually we are the ones who need to change, and maybe we need to reduce our expectations that we place on others. And that's something I find I will be taking with me when it comes to my partner, and I can see that there's a codependency there, that I need to be able to express my needs and wants and be able to feel the full range of my emotions. And that's the next thing that I would be bringing to my breathwork sessions, that Conscious Loving emphasises the importance of understanding our own needs and others' emotions, and learning the core feelings, and then of separating our feelings from our parents, which I thought was really interesting. And then I suppose most importantly, the one that we practice in breathwork is locating the feelings in the body and encouraging everybody to be with their feelings fully, including myself. Boundaries was another one, and honouring boundaries, and that's something I'll bring into the breathwork, because even with our framing the class and the time that we have, and setting up that safe space would be important. And then just boundaries around even having groups and so on. And I suppose lastly, cultivating intimacy. So Conscious Loving encourages us to have deep connections in relationships, and that it involves vulnerability and sharing openly and creating safe, supportive space for our clients. And it also really emphasises the practice of being present, of listening deeply and expressing genuine care. and that will be fundamental to all of my breathwork sessions. So in summary, Conscious Loving is a very meaty book. I can't say I found it a comfortable read, but it's a read that you will find invaluable if you want to take control of your life, and if you want to create deep, meaningful connections in a loving way, in a way that you can bring your significant others closer rather than pushing them away. And again, it emphasizes that it's better if you do it with your partner, and that it's a lifetime journey. So enjoy, and thank you for recommending it as part of our work on the course.